Hey everyone, so I know it's been a while since I've sat down in front of the camera and made a video for you guys, but for 2024, I am making it my resolution to revive this YouTube channel, and the latest Sims 4 expansion pack for rent has inspired me. Thank you EA Creator Network for my copy of the pack. So today I've got a build video for you, but I've only built out the shells. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very excited about the fact that we have apartments now. So I've decided to build some apartment shells for you. I've built 3 shells in total. They're all very minimally furnished, and the idea is for you to go in and furnish it however you like. So let's jump into the first one. I've built it in Willow Creek. My inspiration for this was what they call a fourplex. So it looks like a house. It's a single story house, but it's actually got 4 units inside it. I pretty much just copied this floor plan off the internet since floor plans are not really my strong suit. So I started off building just one half of it. That's why it's kind of in this like big L shape. I hadn't actually built the floor plan of the other half yet. So in terms of how much I've furnished these shells, obviously they are supposed to be shells. It is supposed to be a blank canvas for you to just go in and decorate it however you like. But I have put down a few basic items like the bathroom stuff and beds, just to make it clear and obvious what's supposed to be a bathroom and what's supposed to be a bedroom. Then I just put in wardrobes and desks just to give you some ideas on how you can furnish the bedrooms, because they are quite generously sized bedrooms and bathrooms. Now, my intention was to only use base game items because then it's obviously more accessible for everybody. But base game items are just so ugly, and it's been a while since I've actually done some building. So I haven't used this new kitchen pack at all. So I thought this would be a fun opportunity for me to use them. Plus, I like how neutral the colors are. So there's our kitchen. It's an L shape with an island in the middle. And then adjoining the kitchen, I've just made it a laundry, but you could definitely make it a butler's pantry if you wanted to. So it was at this point that I realized that I had actually forgotten to make this like a rental lot type, and I didn't really actually know how to. So I had to click around and actually use the tips. I think this is the first time I've ever used any of the in-game tips and lessons, but I figured out how to actually assign the rooms to create the units. So here I am just building out the rest of the entire building and configuring the units. I wanted the house to be symmetrical, so I'm just putting the windows on perfectly symmetrical. The layout of the 2 middle apartments are a bit different from the larger ones on the outside. The front room is still sort of like right near the front door, but the kitchen is located right next to the living room, and the middle units actually have more of a formal dining space as well. I realized that I forgot to make a dining space in the first unit on the left-hand side, so I just added in a small little table, but I have added in a large dining table for the second apartment. The middle apartment also only has 1 bathroom instead of 2 bathrooms and a larger laundry room, but you could definitely turn the laundry into a powder room if you wanted to. I built out all the walls for the last 2 units, but I actually didn't furnish them. The floor plan is a mirror image, so if you wanted to work out what the rooms are supposed to be, just look at the other side. I'm also working under the assumption that most people won't be using the plain furniture that I have used, so it's just less stuff that you have to delete. I did do the windows, doors, and lights though. I just copied the roofing from my reference, kept it very simple. I didn't do the exterior wall coverings, but I would probably do weatherboard, similar to the reference photo, and finish this house like a classic American craftsman or ranch style house. I think the beauty with this particular apartment building is that it looks like a single residence from the outside, so you could really make it look just like a regular big family home, but of course on the inside there are 4 units. I also should say that the 2 outer units have back doors and access to the backyard. The 2 middle units don't have a back door. Obviously you could add one if you wanted to and create a big backyard that's subdivided, but just bear that in mind when you're actually playing in game and bump up the rent for the 2 outer apartments. So that's the first apartment. It's on the gallery for you. If you do end up using it, I'd love to know. Either leave a comment here on this video or post about it on Twitter and tag me. So next up, I've got a New York City brownstone inspired apartment. I chose this narrow plot in San Sequoia because I wanted the facade of the building to look quite narrow. The thing I love most about this type of building is the big bay window at the front. So if you end up using this apartment in-game, make sure you charge extra for the units that have the bay window, in my opinion. Now, I have to be honest, I actually don't really get how elevators work and how access works in the apartments yet. So if the lift ends up being completely useless or breaks your game, I'm really sorry in advance. So I didn't have a reference for this floor plan. I wanted to divide each floor into 2 units. So I'm doing that as best as I can here. So the front apartments with the bay window are very open plan. For me, that bay window is the hero. So I really wanted to just have like living space, kitchen, all open concept around that bay window, and then just 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom for the front unit. The advantage of the back unit though is that it's got 2 bedrooms and a slightly larger bathroom. So like the first build, I did initially build the kitchen with counters from a very recently released pack, but rest assured, if you don't have this pack, because at the very end, I actually scrapped all the kitchens and redid them with a base game counter set. So I didn't do the exterior walls in our first build, but I actually did end up doing quite a bit of exterior decoration for this building, just because I had a really clear vision in my mind of what it is supposed to look like. So I've gone with a very classic red brick with the brick steps going up and the big floor to ceiling windows. So I actually ended up making a basement unit. I didn't intend to have a basement apartment unit when I first started this build, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to have this like slightly less desirable unit. You could obviously have the rent cheaper, you could make it less nice and fancy, and it's also considerably smaller than the other units in this building. But I just think that feature of having the basement windows and being able to see the basement from the street, from ground level, it just makes the build more interesting and gives it more street appeal. The basement unit is also very open plan, very much a studio apartment. One thing this apartment has that some of the upstairs ones don't have actually is a laundry room and a really big bathroom. Obviously, with all of these shells, you can change and knock down the walls however you like. So for the second floor, the top floor, I was intending for it to be exactly the same as the ground floor and the first floor, but I didn't know that we actually had a 6-unit limit. So the top floor actually became a really extra big penthouse. I actually think this build ended up a lot better than my original plan of just having the 6 units with 3 identical floors. I think having, you know, the small, cheap basement apartment as well as this big, luxurious penthouse apartment just makes the building so much more interesting. However, it did mean that I had to figure out a new floor plan for the penthouse. At first, I wanted to do all these like big columns everywhere, which I've seen in like the big New York loft apartments, but it didn't really work out. So I just went with good old-fashioned walls. The penthouse apartment also has the luxury of an outdoor rooftop terrace. So make sure when you use this build in game, your rent reflects that fact. Our penthouse actually only has 1 bedroom. You could definitely fit 2 bedrooms up here if you wanted to. I just thought it was more like studio loft vibes to have 1 bedroom and then make that living space in front of those bay windows the real star of the show. As you can see in these last reveal shots, I did go ahead and switch out all of the kitchen counters for base game counters just because I thought the kitchen configurations were so specific. I really wanted to make this build accessible and easy to use, and I also just thought this base game counter actually matched the overall vibe a bit better. This building is also up in the gallery now. For this third and final build, I've gone for something a bit more out there. This one is a classic crazy Meg build. When I was coming up with inspiration for this video, I basically Googled unique apartment buildings and came across this building in Japan called Apartment in Kami Takada. It blew my mind. It is apparently 9 units, but it looks like just this glass box where you can see into everyone's apartments. I was immediately drawn to it because it's so weird. It's got massive windows. It literally looks more like a prison commune with all the like metal fencing and corrugated steel walls. But then on the inside, it's still really bright and airy and it looks quite nice. I also really liked how it had these like low platforms where the kitchen is. This apartment also incorporates a lot of curved walls and diagonal walls, which I didn't want to do. It feels like you can look into everyone's apartments, which isn't for me, but is definitely very interesting. Also, look at this bathroom. It is like completely out in the open. I don't understand it. Anyone could just look in and see. This apartment definitely just gives me very communal vibes. That's what we're going to try to recreate in this third shell. So I did try to have a look at the floor plans, the real floor plans of this real apartment complex, but honestly, it was too complicated. I couldn't make any sense of it at all. So I'm going to do my own version. So with my floor plan, I started off just with 4 squares placed not in line with each other. Then what I wanted to do was connect the 4 squares, but also divide them. So each square is not its own unit. Each square is actually 2 units, and that little bridge in the middle connects the 2 halves of the unit. And I did it all very like irregularly. I did not want it to be like on a grid. I didn't want all these straight lines. I wanted it to just feel kind of weird and random. Honestly, I was very much playing it by ear with this build. I didn't have a plan at all. I couldn't even envision what I was supposed to be doing, honestly. I was just winging it. I was just placing walls, deleting walls, seeing what worked. So all of the little bridges are completely glass. So to make it really clear which apartments are which, I've temporarily color coded them just so it's really clear visually for me and for you to actually see the different apartments. So we ended up with 4 apartments. The apartments are connected, but not connected, if you know what I mean. There's definitely potential to be seeing across into your neighbor's apartment, but at the same time, the walls do keep you separate. Like my reference, I went with the white corrugated steel container walls, and I just wanted to place as many windows as I could. So I went with these extra wide glass sliding doors. Unfortunately, they are from an expansion pack. So if you don't have this door, you'll just have to use the base game glass doors. Each unit also has an upstairs as well as a upstairs balcony deck. I guess the upstairs could technically be a second bedroom, but my intention was for the upstairs areas to sort of be the activity rooms or studies. So I was very much playing it by ear with this. I was kind of just randomly placing the staircases because I really was just building as I went and fixing whatever needed to be fixed. So I put a staircase in each of the front rooms of each unit. And then from there, I built the upstairs. But yeah, I do change a few things around as I go just because things needed to be changed as I went. I also really liked in the inspiration photos, the reference photos, how there are a lot of like windows on the corners like this. So I did do a few of those in this build. The upstairs areas were actually pretty tricky to do. I wanted it to be quite balanced. Like I didn't really want any of the upstairs rooms to be touching. I wanted them to all be equally spread out. I had to move the staircases around quite a bit, move things around, change the walls, expand rooms, make rooms smaller, etc. I wanted to give each unit its own outdoor balcony as well. This also proved to be quite challenging because I wanted them to all be equally spaced out, but then I had to think about where the door to access the balcony would be. So I'm just having a go at actually furnishing one of the units, this pink one here. So obviously replace the floor, and I sunk down the bathroom similar to the reference photos. It's all very open. There's no door to the bathroom. This is obviously for, you know, an individual or maybe a couple because I wanted to capture that toilet out in the open feeling. So I decided to go no door on the bathroom. To continue with our color coding, I decided to do the flooring for our kitchens and bathrooms in all the units in its corresponding color. So for a pink apartment, I've picked pink tile for the kitchen and bathroom. And I also went with pink kitchen counters. So obviously, unfortunately, if you don't have the same packs that I have, you may not be able to perfectly recreate what I've got here, but it's purely cosmetic. If you don't want it to be color coordinated, if you want them to be the same color as each other, then obviously that's totally fine. For me, I just thought it was fun and also just helped me keep track of which apartment was which, because it is hard to tell which apartment is which when you've got this crazy layout. As I said before, all the units have roughly the same layout. I thought having the colored tiles for the kitchen actually just helps create separate spaces in this very open plan environment. I think it'd be really cool to add white posts to the ground level, sort of holding up those balconies as well. It would definitely add a lot of interest to the look of this. There we have it. Our third and final apartment. It's definitely unconventional, but that's the fun of The Sims. You can make all these unconventional houses. And now that we have the apartment function, you can really experiment with how you lay out these houses and how you have households and Sims interact with each other in these crazy spaces. I think this build will look so great with a garden in the middle, plus lots of plants up on the roof and on the balconies. This apartment is now up on the gallery as well, and I have to say it looks pretty striking from far away. I'm really happy with how this one turned out, but it will be interesting to see how well it actually performs in game. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has inspired you. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I do plan on making many more build videos for you guys next year. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.